Hi guys, welcome to Oliveboard's ENGLISHnomics session. So, of course, today's article is again from The Hindu and something related to what you study in your GA as well, which is inflation. So, we are going to read this editorial and try to understand it. Of course, first I would like all of you to read, try to comprehend, and then we'll discuss it in simple terms. Any of your doubts you have to write in the chat and I'll be replying in the chat, right? So, let's begin reading. And while you read, I'll be, of course, writing the meanings of a few words that are used here. So it is easier for you to understand. So let's start. So as you can see, the heading is Inflation Shocker on Rise of Consumer Price Inflation. Now, probably you would have been reading this, that there is a rise in the consumer price inflation. Now, consumer price inflation is increase in the prices that people pay in a particular period for the goods and services. This you have read in your banking also, general banking. So I want all of you to quickly read this paragraph, then we'll discuss it. Till then, I'll just write the meanings here. Okay, so in this particular paragraph, what are you talking about? What is the writer saying? That the inflation level is back at the wrong time. How come now 7.35% rise in consumer price inflation in December is something which is unacceptable? Even though people were prepared of greater than normal levels of inflation, because you can see that there is a rise in price of food commodities. So there has been immense rise, particularly a huge magnitude of rise, huge extent, or in the price of onions, right? In particular, if you have noticed that. So disturbing December print has begun fears. Now there are fears regarding India entering a period of slow growth and high inflation. So guys, if you study this slow growth and high inflation, which is also called stagflation, right? So there are fears that India may be entering into stagflation. And yeah, we have to check these fears, compare the fears with a few facts. Weighed against is when you compare two benefits or disadvantages of two things or options against one another, so that you choose the better one. So when I say weighed against, fears have to be weighed against a few facts. It means that we need to check whether these fears are genuine or no. So they have to be compared with the facts, right? So in the first paragraph, writer is just saying that there's a general fear that has come up because of this food price inflation particularly. This is unacceptable because the levels are greater than normal, even when what was expected. Okay? So right, we need to check these fears against certain facts. Okay, second paragraph, continue reading. When we say addressed, it is solve an issue or a problem. And upswing means an increase in quantity, increase. So the headline inflation number is driven mainly by food inflation, right? So the facts are given here in this particular paragraph. Now it says the onion was the prime villain because it was the most expensive. That is how the price inflation in vegetables rose, right? So as compared to the previous month, or as compared to the previous December 2018. The other food prices have also increased. Okay, so the food prices were on the upswing, means have also increased, right? And these are largely seasonal rise in prices because of supply side factors. Now the reason for these increase in prices of food is because of supply side factors. And once the supply shortfall is addressed, once we solve this problem of supply shortfall, we can reverse these numbers, right? So the reason is given for the increase in the food inflation, that is because there is supply shortfall, right? And this can be solved, right? Addressed means to solve something. Okay, so this paragraph is facts which are mentioned here regarding food inflation. Continue reading. Now there was an analysis by SBI's research team, right, which says that if we don't consider the increase in prices of onion, potato, ginger, then what will be the case? Headline CPI inflation would be just this much, just 4.48%. And guys, core inflation, again, because you are preparing for banking, if you're preparing for banking, it is a general economic term which you all should know. So this core inflation means change in cost of goods and services but it does not include food and energy sector. Does not include food and energy sector. Why these sectors are not included when we talk about core inflation? Because these sectors are volatile. The prices keep on changing. So like apart from these food and energy, when there's a change in the cost of goods and services, we call it core inflation. Okay. Now that should be the major concern. That has only inched up marginally. Means has increased or advanced. Marginally means in a small degree. Okay. So inched up, increased by small degree. Increased by a small degree. Right? So if we leave apart the increase in the prices of major food products or the food and energy sector, the core inflation is just small extent, increase to a small extent. Okay, but it would be worrisome. It will be something that may cause worry. Okay, if core inflation shoots up, if it increases more. Okay, if it can be a cause of worry. Okay, and also if the food inflation doesn't come down in the couple of months. So in the near future, in the couple of months, if this does not happen, it can be very worrisome, right? Now, also there can be effects in the other things also, like telecom tariffs may increase, rail tickets and fuel prices. These also need to be closely watched because how the economy is working, there can be an increase or decrease in these particular categories as well. Right? So major pointer from this paragraph, what you have to take is core inflation. What is it? Minus the food and energy sector. So whatever change there is in the cost of goods and services, that is inched up slightly, right? Marginally. But still there's a cause of worry in the coming months if the food inflation doesn't come down. And if there is an increase in core inflation, then that will be cause of trouble. Okay, the next paragraph. Okay, so particularly this paragraph, what does it talk about? The increase in the CPI has ruined the RBI's plan, like monetary policy review in February. So the central bank was not ready to change its mind on rates in the December policy, exactly due to the fears of inflation. Okay, and had also what the RBI had done is revise the uh, inflation projection for the second half of the fiscal. Okay. Okay, so there is a difference. So what the December print is, it says the December print is way above the Monetary Policy Committee's mandated limit. So the limit what they mentioned is 6%. And now it is way above that, right? So with the growth which is declining, you can see the growth is declining. There is a lot of pressure on the RBI to cut rates at least one more time to encourage growth. So of course, because of probably this food inflation plus increase in CPI, these are the problems that the RBI is facing. It's facing a lot of pressure. Okay, the rates are much higher than what it expected. So that is why RBI is pressured to cut rates so that it can encourage growth, right? Now, what will it be interesting? The conclusion point, what the writer says is that it will be interesting to watch the discussions of the Monetary Policy Committee. Deliberations is long and careful discussions. So, whenever they announce something, of course, there are discussions and careful discussions. So, it will be interesting to see that, right? What they come up with in February. Now, there, while the market is prepared to accept a standstill policy, means standstill where there's no change, okay, but for now it is okay. Point is that for now it may be ready, but any change in the RBI's stand, like from accommodative to neutral, may not go down well. Now also a lot will depend on the fiscal arithmetic or the fiscal figures that would emerge from the budget, because Feb 1 we'll get the budget. Now the government should put in all its efforts to solve this problem of supply side issues mainly. Okay, so if the food prices calm down, it will help the RBI to do what the government and market want, which is lower rates. So the only way is if the food prices go down, then only it can help the RBI. Plus, how will these food prices go down? The government should engage in ways so that it can solve supply side issues. So this is what the author is trying to say. Guys, now this was regarding inflation. So a topic which we study in our banking also, an editorial similar to that topic. So when you start reading editorials, you can stick to the topics you're familiar with, a little familiar with, so it is easier to understand. So I hope you understood it completely. And the correct way is you write the meanings first and then read, so that there are no breaks while reading. And of course, the context, you understand the meaning of the word with the help of the context of the sentence, right? So do like and share this session. I'll see you again at 3 p.m. for my class, Grammar Boulevard class. Thank you. Subscribe to Oliveboard YouTube channel. Click the bell icon to never miss an update.